Matt with Muskoka Bros, and we are doing a new segment here on hunting. I'm not sure what we're going to call it even. I'm an avid hunter myself, and David and Dylan, they dabble with it and getting into it more. And we've thought long and hard about what other segments we can add to Muskoka Bros, and what would outdoor enthusiasts be interested in, and what are we interested in, what gets us outside. And I was thinking about it earlier on today, and I'm probably outside in the bush probably 60 to 70% of the time. I'm doing that. I'm actually hunting or checking my game cameras or baiting or something like that. So that's what really gets me outside, even more than camping and hiking and whatnot. So it's a huge passion of mine, and I want to start sharing that with you guys, and I want to do it in the most educational and best way possible, and really palatable too. So anyways, I'm in the laundry room of our house right now, and I'm going out tomorrow morning with two guys, and I always get, this is going to kind of be like a little bit of my nerd alert here, because I always kind of get my stuff ready the night before, because at 5 in the morning I'm kind of drowsy, obviously, and I can't really think, have I got everything together? So I get it together the night before, and I kind of just lay it out so that 5 in the morning I can kind of just sort of stumble down and throw my stuff on. So anyways, I'm going to go through sort of what I'm going to wear tomorrow. It's only going to be about 2 or 3 degrees above zero, so that's actually going to be great, because a lot of times when we're out coyote hunting, we usually only do it in the winter. It's -20, -25, and it's just unbearable sitting out there. So not too many layers for tomorrow, but I'll show you what we're going to do here. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to do a quick pack review. I'll change the camera for that, but I'm going to do a pack review and kind of show you what would be in my backpack when I'm out hunting. Here's a layout of all the gear I'm going to wear. So I'm going to stumble downstairs in the morning, and I'm definitely putting on my merino wool long underwear, and then goes under my KUIU hunting pants. These are the KUIU Attack pant. Absolutely incredible pants. I've hunted for years in bargain basement Canadian Tire stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. I did it for years. But if you're going to be out there over and over, you guys get it. You want good stuff. You want comfortable stuff. And KUIU is definitely a top name and top brand for hunting gear. And as well, it's a crossover into hiking as well. KUIU makes tons of hiking stuff too. Got my 2 layers down here, and my 2 layers up top right now. So usually when it's really cold, I'm even 4 layers up top. But I've just got my merino wool long sleeve top, and then over top of it is like a sort of a winter grade long sleeve generic hunting shirt. That's a Canadian Tire shirt there, and that should do me at 3 degrees. And then on top of that is my KUIU Guide jacket. This jacket is worth about 2 of what I wear top to bottom last year. So it's expensive. 4-way stretch, absolutely incredibly comfortable, pockets in all the right spots. When you're wearing your backpack, you guys get it even when you're hiking and whatnot. When you're wearing your backpack, if the pockets are in the wrong spot on your jacket, you can't access your stuff without unstrapping, that type of thing. So this jacket is absolutely fantastic, and I like the camo. It's an interesting pattern, and KUIU doesn't even offer winter camo. Like normally a winter camo would be a white camo. And they don't even bother with that. They say the pattern alone is what matters, and this pattern is going to make you sort of blend in with your surroundings. After I've got all my exterior stuff on, I'm throwing this on. This is a chest harness, and it goes up and over and sits like this, and it has my binoculars in it. And so when this is strapped on to me, I can actually just pull the binos out, and they're still, they're strapped on to me, and then I put them back in. So this will strap around here, and then these go up and over my shoulder, and that's what's actually connected to the binoculars. Again, this is a KUIU system. You can tell I'm Team KUIU because they just make the best stuff, in my humble opinion. Sitka and a few other companies are just as good. First Light, Sitka, and Kuiu, all fantastic companies, but this happened to be the stuff that I've settled on. Right here, take this out and give it a little puff, and it'll tell you which way the wind is blowing. And wind is very important when you're hunting, because if the wind is going from you to what you're hunting, they are going to smell you long before you ever see them or know that they're there. So generally with animals, but coyotes in particular, what this video is about, because that's what I'm going out to do tomorrow. For level of importance for a coyote, it goes smell, then sound, then sight. So a coyote could almost go without his eyes. They're not nearly as important as smell and sound. So when a coyote hears the call that you're making, and I'll explain calls in a little bit, they are going to circle downwind and come up to that sound. They want their nose to tell them first what is out there, then they want to hear it, and then eventually they want to see it. And if what they see somewhat matches up with what they hear, then you're golden. And I'll explain setting up our calls and our decoys so that we can try and make the animal come downwind of the decoy and not downwind of us. Okay, one more bit of exterior stuff I forgot. These are a mid-weight hunting glove. They're kind of a fall or spring glove. And then inside of them, you guessed it, more Kuiu stuff. These are a very, very thin glove for summer, for bow hunting. When you're bow hunting, you want your fingers covered too, because deer actually can see the reflection off your skin. So generally bow hunters either paint their face or they wear a full face mask, and then they also have gloves on even in the summer. So so these two together are more than enough for 3 degrees. And then I've got my, yeah, you guessed it, Kuiu balaclava, or baklava as I like to call it. Yeah, scary, I know. Does the trick. It's fairly warm. When I'm like this, kind of just, this is the only humanity right here that an animal's going to see. And as long as I'm not blinking too much. Basically, when you're wearing camo, you're just trying to break up your outline, break up your humanity, and kind of break up what makes you human, that shape, you know, standing up on 2 legs and walking like that. And so I'm not even, for me, camo pattern is not necessarily as important as the fact that you're wearing camo, because camo breaks up your pattern. That's what it's all about. So you just have a green shirt on, and whether the animal can see color or not, they are going to see a block of one color, and there's never a block of one color in nature. So that's why we don't wear just a green shirt and blue pants when we're hunting. And you see guys at least throw on some camo, because the patterns mimic nature, because nature is all different colors and shapes, and everything is kind of intertwined, and nothing in nature is just, you know, one color. And that's why you can see black bears a mile away, because they stick out like a sore thumb. They are just one color, so for the most part. All right, so now I'm gonna just, like I said, I'm gonna do a little pack breakdown here. Okay, so I was kind of fiddle farting around with the camera angles and this and that, and trying my GoPro and doing one hand, and it's not going to work. So I got my lovely, beautiful daughter holding the camera, and shout out Emma Gladwin. Anyways, so this is just a tiny pack breakdown. I don't want to pull everything out, because there's just a tons of little knickknacks in there. But I'm going to pull a few things out, and I'll try and explain what they're good for and that type of thing. So here's the pack. Gotta be, let's see. That is maybe 50 pounds. That's hard to tell because I used to work out, so everything feels pretty light. But yeah, that's about 50. So she's good and heavy, especially if you're going to wear it for a few hours. And, well, what's this little donut here for? So this is a hot seat. You can either throw this right on the ground and sit on it, which sometimes I do. if it's not too cold or not too wet. Predator hunters like to get nice and low because predators like coyotes and wolves, their eyes are fantastic. So if they peek their head out into a field, they can see right across the field and they can see everything moving. So I like to get nice and low. So we're always sitting on one of these either on the ground. So, or we're either sitting on that little thingy or we're sitting on a predator chair. And it's like, who carries a chair when they're going hunting? Well, you carry it when you're going camping, you carry it when you're going hunting. This is a unique chair. Definitely not something you'd have around the campfire because the fire would be right up in your face. This is a very low chair, and I'm just going to very, very gracefully get into it. And so I'm nice and low. My butt's almost touching the ground actually when I drop this in a foot of snow. So it's really nice to have one of these in between my butt and the seat because this is the insulating barrier between me and the snow. So predator hunters like to sit nice and low because predators have amazing vision and we get nice and low. If you can imagine me sitting here and there's maybe a little bit of snow, the snow's a foot high and there's a little bit of grass that hasn't been cut down, and then boom, I'm just part of the landscape. We get nice and low. The firearms that I use, the rifle that I use, and most predator hunters use, have a bipod on them. So on the stock, you'll be able to pull out 2 legs, bipod, and extend them, and then I have the rifle will be shouldered, and then the end of it will be on a bipod, and then your gun is nice and solid, and you're going to get the best shot possible, which is the most humane shot possible. So I'm nice and low. The butt is shouldered. The stock is on a bipod, and then I'm like this. And then that's kind of how a predator hunter hunts, sitting down just like this. So now, kind of what's in the main compartments here. So big side compartment, I've got my decoy, and so this goes in, boom, tightened up, stab that into the ground, very hard to do in the winter time. So I kind of just sort of plop it into the snow, and you turn this on, and you're thinking to yourself, is that like Davy Crockett's hat? What's going on here? This is called a decoy, and it is supposed to mimic a distressed or wounded animal, typically like a squirrel or a rabbit. Basically, you stick this in the ground, and you start doing your calls of distressed animals. A coyote might come to the edge of the field, but he might not poke his head out of the forest into the field unless he can actually confirm with his eyes what he can hear. And if he hears a distressed animal, and then he sees this spinning around, then you've fooled 2 of 3 of his senses. His other sense, like I was saying, is smell, and that's where we would want to set this up and sit down in locations where if the coyote comes downwind of this, he's not coming downwind of you. So that's what I have in one main pack. All right, I got some calls. So that's a goose, turkey, deer. This is a coyote call. It's a howler. Me and my family and David's family just went down to Florida for a little winter break. And I picked this up at Dick's Sporting Goods, which now is actually officially getting out of hunting and fishing stuff and ammunition and all that stuff. So now they're really not really a sporting goods store anymore. So anyways, I haven't mastered this. All right, I got more calls here. So these are my go-to calls. Face paint for when I bow hunt deer in the fall. If I can open it. Anyways, it's my little pack. It's just what do they call it? Camel Compact. That's it.
Nice.
So I got my mirror. I can check myself out, and then I've got my 3 most manliest colors right there. There's kind of manly yellow, manly brown, and there's kind of manly olive Jeep green. So I put these on, smear it all over my face. It looks amazing. It makes me feel amazing. I feel like I'm one of the guys on TV that I watch, and it keeps the sheen because I'm such a lily white kind of a guy. my skin has a lot of sheen to it, and obviously I don't have any hair either, but I'm always covered up hunting anyways. But the deer especially can see that sheen, so we want to cover that up. So these are my go-to calls. So what are calls for? Well, these are mouth calls, so obviously they are activated by, you know, like a trumpet or whatever with your mouth, as opposed to an electronic collar, and I'm going to show you an electronic collar in a second. Okay, so the big thing in coyote hunting is you want to sound like food, and you want to sound like competition or a potential mate. So you can do like a female type howl, which is more, it's a higher pitched. It's maybe sounding a little bit less aggressive. They call it female invitation. So what we like to do this time of year, it is early March right now when we're in the middle of mating season. I come in and I act like a lone female saying, hey, I haven't found a mate yet. Is there anyone out there who's interested? So I always start soft. Even when I'm hunting in the fall before mating season, I always start with female invitation because it's not aggressive. So if there's another female there, she's not going to be that aggressive. If there's a male and female already there, they might just come out to say hi, because coyotes, like you know, canines are very social. So they'll come out and say hi to each other even if they're not part of the same pack per se. Now if I came in with an aggressive male, then whatever male owns that territory is either going to back down and run away and I'll never see him, or he's going to come out challenging. But for the most part, they're not looking for confrontation. So that's why I start soft. I start with the female invitation. I go from female invitation, so I have this on all the time. So this is my male sound here, and I'm not going to do it in this room because it's probably going to sound awful on film. But I have this elastic here. I can move it up and down the reed, and I can make all different kinds of sounds. But generally, I find this one is very raspy, and this is the one I use to sound like a male. Tomorrow I'll have a chance to do some of that. This is a rabbit collar. I'll get into that. This is my female. This one puts out a very high-pitched sound, and I'm able to do female calls with this one. Or I can even do like it does really good challenge barks, because the challenge barks are very high-pitched. And then this here, this is a rabbit in distress. So when I'm blowing on this baby right here, it sounds like a rabbit in distress. And a rabbit in distress sounds nothing like you would think a rabbit would sound like. You think a rabbit would be like meep, 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 you know, but rabbits, they make just an awful noise when they are in trouble. So when I'm doing this, and hopefully tomorrow I'll have some footage of it, when I'm doing my rabbit in distress, it's going to kind of mimic, if I've started with the coyote howl, then it's going to mimic to the coyotes out there that I'm here, I'm in your territory, and I've actually killed something. And that might promote them to kind of want to come out and say, hey loner, take a hike. Of course I want them to come out. So that's part of the game that we play. If I'm just doing this, if I just start with rabbit in distress, then generally rabbits are bombing along and they might accidentally impale themselves on something, or you know, they slip on the ice and they break a leg and they just scream, and they're prey. That's what they do. They just, when you stress, or when a predator hears an animal in distress, it makes them hungry. So this is my rabbit in distress, and tomorrow hopefully we'll get some great footage of that. But these two, you know, the howler and your rabbit in distress, those are like bread and butter for a coyote hunter. And other guys, they'll carry around like crow sounds, and because crows always come to, you know, kill sites, and then when crows come to a kill site, that's going to attract coyotes, and they'll carry around like woodpecker and just raccoon in distress. But I don't have like 7 or 8 calls on me like some of these really hardcore guys. But I do have an electronic collar. and that is also bread and butter. Okay, so put this in. This is an Icotec GS320. It's generation 2. It's new, fall of 2018. This is their newest model. This is their remote. So you recognize this, the Davy Crockett hat? So I turn the decoy on, gives them something to look at. And if I've been using rabbit in distress or raccoon in distress or anything like that, then this looks like the distressed animal, and then their eyes have been confirmed with what they were hearing. So 25 watt speaker. This is loaded up with a chip in it with about 25 sounds. Here's my remote. Get it on. Oh, shh. So rude. Get tight in on that. All right. So I've got about 25 calls here, and I mean, I've got everything from goat, woodpecker, robin. These would all be distress. Coon fight, raccoon, crow, jackrabbit, gray fox, red fox. So again, dogs are territorial. A coyote hears a gray fox fighting. Let's say 2 gray foxes fighting. Like, that's his territory. So the coyote's going to want to come running in and either shoo off or kill the fox. It's all, again, part of the game that we play to try and trick the animal, because we don't have the senses that they do. So this is the best thing we got going for us right here. We got to try and trick them. But my go-to, female invitation, male interrogation howl. It's just a male saying, "Hey, I'm out here." And then I've got the coyote pup, a pup in distress. The pup in distress is a big one. When I've been successful in some of my hunts, it's been the pup in distress that's brought a coyote out of the bush when they didn't really want to come out. But you turn it on and they hear what they think is a pup in distress. Go out and try and figure out what's wrong. And again, part of the tricks that we play here. And it doesn't always work, actually. It mostly doesn't work. But anyways, I've had them come running. Actually, I've had one time four come running out of the bush as soon as I turned pup in distress on, because it just drove them crazy that there might be a pup in distress. Can I say that again? So I got the volume and pause and this and that. So what we do with this is, why have an electronic caller when I have my mouth calls? Why aren't my mouth calls good enough? Well, when I'm calling with my mouth, then remember I'm talking about an animal coming downwind of me? When I call with my mouth calls, then I risk them coming downwind of me. When I call with this and I put this 50, 60, 70 yards away from me, then they want to come downwind of the caller and not me. If they come downwind of this caller, I can watch them. I'll set up in a spot where I can watch them come downwind of this. Secondly, if I am using mouth calls and a coyote is standing at the edge of a field and looking out trying to see what's making the noise, he's going to zoom in right on where I'm coming from, right at me. If this is making the noise 50 yards away from me, then he is looking at this and not me. So those are the two trick factors. One, they come downwind of it. Two, they look at this and not me. So that is the beauty of an e-collar, and I would say 9.5 out of 10 predator hunters use these, in conjunction with mouth calls. So, okay, here's my last little pocket here. This is going to be a surprise to me and you. Okay, little hand warmers, first aid, junky binoculars. That's not that important, but matches, batteries. What do you need batteries for? The e-collar takes batteries. What else do I got over here? Purell. Purify my hands? No, it's fire starter. Matches. Advil. Tylenol. Purell. Fire starter. So, I know that I probably should carry a lot more survival stuff with me, because Hey, I'm out there, and I believe I've got a tin cup on me too, so that I can get a fire going and I can purify water. But that's it. Those are the big things that a predator hunter works with. And again, I'm doing this video here because I just want to show you what my routine is. Everything is laid out like this. Everyone knows I'm going hunting when they see this stuff out. And then when I kind of stumble down here at 5 in the morning, I can just throw everything on and I'm good to go. Grab my pack, everything's ready to go. So hopefully tomorrow, a successful hunt for me, I guess ultimately, if I'm being honest, the successful hunt is harvesting something. Where we're going tomorrow, the guy has chickens. He's had chickens forever, but just recently he's had problems with coyotes trying to get in to the chicken pen, and he usually free ranges them during the day. He's had to leave them in, which means that he has to feed them a lot more, and it's more of a hassle. So what he thinks happened is that in the past the coyotes have just not been interested in his chickens. Maybe his dog has kept them away or kept them discouraged. But there's an alpha right now in this pack that probably has a taste for chickens, and so he's coming up and he's harassing the chickens. So when I knocked on this farmer's door and said, I'd love to hunt your property, he was very happy to give that permission. And just a side note, I carry $3 million in liability because I take this very seriously, and should there ever be an accident or a problem, I want the farmer to know, I want the landowner to know that I have coverage. It's coverage for myself and for my family. You know, that we carry insurance just in case. And there's a lot of onus on the hunter to know what they're doing, know what their backdrop is when they're shooting. I always go on satellite imagery and I figure out where houses are in relation and whatnot, and I always tour properties. I've already toured this property. And that's the onus on the hunter.